Hello everyone, my name is Pauline Jiro and this is KM Fuse Beyond Filing. So today I am so excited to host, I would call them my mentors. You guys imagine the audacity of interviewing your mentors. They're going to introduce themselves and we can take it from there. Welcome guys.
Okay, my name is Vili Magero. I'm a practicing records management officer. I've done like slightly over 2 decades in this profession, and I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
Yes.
Simon is my name. Thank you for having me. I work with Records Management East Africa. Today I've earned a new title, a mentor. I think you are doing a wonderful thing. Discussing the filing series onwards to digital transformation. It's the right time, the right content, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So today we are going to talk about digital transformation in records management.
Okay.
And at this point, we all know that we all know about records management and just how it's viewed. We've actually heard of what records management is not. You know, most people know records management for what it's not. So we are really trying to see how do we do this. Maybe we can start by maybe defining records management, you know, in its simplest form, like how everybody would understand it. Okay. Yeah, it's most people will just dismiss it as filing, but you know, we all know that it's not filing. Records management is much more. And no, to start this, I would like us to define, you know, just what records management is at its simplest form. Maybe Don, we can start with you.
I think the way you said about most people hear about it in the media when there's an issue, and we are discussing where are these records. So they have an idea that something went wrong because a documentation was not there, and someone has to prove this transaction happened. So if we have to discuss and analyze it from just the basic level, every single thing you do is a transaction. Yes. Whether it's entering a building, a business transaction, entering into a contract, the foundation of that transaction will be there's a document that will be produced that forms a record for future reference. Even being here is a record. If someone questioned where I was at this particular time and this particular moment, there'll be the masts that will have captured, I made a call from here, and stuff like that. So basically looking at a basic definition of a record is just a proof that something happened from a layman's point of view. So if you're looking at did you buy milk, where is the receipt? That's a record. If you go deeper into government transactions, did you sell this? This is an invoice. That's a record. Did you pay your taxes? Did you file your returns? Because now we headed there, yes. You had 10 million of sales, you filed 4 million, you have to prove records to prove the difference. So very many aspects of our lives bring out this record. So yes, we know them from the bad perspective, but if you look at it from a good perspective, even the mere fact that we went into elections, we created a record that was used to, and it was well discussed in 2017 and 2022. That anything we do brings out a record that determines the final space that we are going to discuss.
Wow. Okay, Vili, which maybe you can give it a different perspective.
Yeah, to bring it back to context and to help even the practitioners, records management is just the management aspect that takes care of the process of creating, receiving, maintaining, using a record up to the stage where we decide how to dispose it. And now the records manager, together with the management of the organization, sits down to decide how to dispose it and how long to keep these records. So in a nutshell, that is how I would define records management.
So unajua, you know, the way we've been places where you are doing records management, but you know the people around you don't even know what you do. Or probably they just dismiss it. You know, mama files. I think I've talked about that in a different
I think it's because
setting.
traditionally it used to be hata si watu wa records, ilikuwanga watu wa store.
Exactly.
Yes, it started
And
like
then,
that.
they started realizing it's important when accountability became key in government. Yes. So you are now summoned in parliament, and the parliament is questioning, so you need to come up with a physical document to show this transaction happened. Or the auditor general visits your office and says, you guys did these transactions, you went for Mombasa, you bought these things, where is the document? So first of all, now it brings to fore that before you procured, there was a needs analysis done, a budget was set, you did a tender, you awarded, you procured, you paid. That chain of documentation now made them realize that you not just come and show the Auditor General, we bought this bus. So let's start from the beginning. The original document by the directors approving that there's actually a need for a bus. Then they started realizing, kumbe mtu wa records, kuna kitu anaweza saidia. You'll go to the Senate or to the National Assembly, and they'll tell you, okay, it's okay, we can see the bus. How many bus companies quoted? Then you're saying, no, this was the cheapest. No, it's okay. Where are the documents? Then you realize that guy is more important. So beyond saying the filing, the ule mtu wa filing, now the CEOs realized that now we have to give this person an opportunity to clear up and store documents in a better way. Because the day I'm summoned, if he does not find the documents, you won't hear them saying the records officer at company XYX has a problem. No, it's the CEO did not provide documents, so it's unaccounted for. And when Kenyans hear unaccounted for, it's money lost.
Exactly.
But now in that order, Don is introducing a very interesting aspect here. Like they realize they need that person. They need that person. And you see now what happens after that is they use you for that particular purpose, and immediately that one is done, they forget about you. I am not trying to sound controversial here, but you know, in the corporate really, that one you can bear witness. As in as much as you be there representing these records, you know, presenting all this, immediately after, believe me, they forget about you. They do.
Okay, in this day and age, I wouldn't say they really forget, because, like Don has alluded, the level of accountability, the expectations of the public are very high, and having the advantage of working in government for a period of time, I've realized that in various audit cycles, they always say they were not able to account for funds because records are not provided. And when you dig deeper and find out why were these records not provided, they were provided because, number one, they were not traceable, number two, they were not created in the way that is envisaged of a record. Because again, if you look at the characteristics of a record, there's what you'd say this is a record. You cannot just pick any piece of paper with wordings in it and say this is a record. There's a process to it. And now that is what is now bringing organizations, and both government and private, to a renaissance, that there's something about managing records, and there's something about making it authentic, making it usable, making it authoritative to the person who is asking for it. And I like the fact that auditors are helping records managers to bring this conversation of records management, because it's unfortunate that as records managers, we are not able to really push it through the audit cycles that always ask for records, that always allude to records.
We are not able to push it really, but because in most of the time it's designed to discourage us from pushing it. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like you really have to push hard. You know, you really have to push hard.
Every department or every institution, you have to define yourself. Now this is what happens. You wouldn't want to replace your accountant because it's key.
Yes.
So the institutions that have actually, the records people, have made sure that they are key part of the processes. So you can't call them a support department.
Exactly.
Because what we need to differentiate is where institutions take records as a support department, one that you can easily outsource everything. But then you realize that you can start a process from A to Z. Yes. But should this process not conform legally, yes, the documents that you generate will never stand anywhere. So the lack of a records guy is not only to come and say zimefailiwa vizuri, hapana. Beyond that, yes, ulisign hizi invoices zilipwe, but huku confirm kuna documents zilikuwa zina miss. Exactly. So the records guy can easily tell you, no, before you that check is issued, these documents are missing. So they become key part of the processes. In that case, just like we say, power is grabbed. It's never given. So when you go to an institution and tell them, before you clear out everything, let the records guy confirm something is missing or something is okay. So the process becomes foolproof. Again, that only happens because for you to empower records management, you must agree to the fact that then your integrity has to be very high up. Because now you're looking at a chain where, if I have to look at your documentation end to end, it means by the time I am signing off the payment to be done, everything is in order. Because now, I am now telling you, hizi documents ziko sawa, mnaweza lipa. Now, that means that the integrity of that institution has to be unquestioned.
So what you're saying is you really can't separate the issue of integrity and records management.
Yes.
It might not be the main issue, yes, but you can't really separate the two. The two have to move together.
They have to move together, and I think I know we've defined the meaning of records management, but I also like to bring us alive to the definition of a record. What is a record? How do you define a record? And it's good that we even have standards, the ISO 15489, that defines for us a record as a document or information that captures the evidence of business transactions, and it is the only information that also will be able to be presented in court for legal admissibility of any event that has taken place in an organization. So the moment we always take ourselves back to the basics of what is a record, then that now brings in the aspect of managing the record, that brings in the aspect of wanting to know even what value are we attaching to our records as we move on.
Yeah. And you see what Vili is saying? If you have a fraud case, it's good to mention, they don't, before they do everything else, they make sure they take care of the documents. Yes. Juu anajua ile uchafu yote umefanya iko hapa. Yes. So if you have a very good records department, yes, they will come and say, we need this, this, and this. They already know what they require. Yes. So even them, they know, for you to do these transactions, these are the documents you had to use. Yes. So if you have a very good records team, they'll be told, please supply us with 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, on the good side, if you are streamlining processes, or you have streamlined processes, it means that if you want to find out where this document is to support this transaction, you already know it was filed X, it is in box Y, carton Z, clear. Yes. So even when the records guy is at home, you don't need him. You already know he did classifications very well. Yes. And when you walk into the record center, you only need to understand. Now utapata your document.
Then
wow. Okay, Don has talked about streamlining processes. Now that brings us now to the issue for the day, which is digital transformation. Digital transformation, again, okay, we will define it, but I'm also noting that it can easily be dismissed as, just digitization. Like we are just scanning our records and, yes. So now maybe we can start by defining digital transformation in records management. Maybe Vili, you can take it up and then we can get to Don, then Sasa.
My understanding of digital transformation in records management, I think it stems from lack of understanding of how documents can be classified. It also stems from how there could have been a problem with accessing records. It also stems from a problem of not being able to retrieve records within the time that is needed. Because again, these records are kept to be used. So if you're not able to access it within the time that you need it, it becomes a bit chaotic. So the digital environment, the coming of technology gave an opportunity for records managers to be able to now bring in the function from a technological environment so that organizations can find value and meaning in their records from the beginning moving to the end. And I think that's the most basic way I can define it.
Yeah, and there's something Vili has said very nice, value. In the life of a record, it will have value when it's in use, when it's being archived, because it serves very many purposes. Exactly. Now, if you look at this journey, and I'm very glad that our president really pushes, saying we need to digitize. Digital transformation is a strategy. But now it starts from the basic digitization, taking those papers, putting them into soft. Paper records to electronic records. So now, if you're looking at this from a holistic point of view, let me give you a structured way. Let's deal with the Ministry of Lands because we all know they digitized. Yeah. They didn't go beyond that, they digitized. So they took our titles, parcel files, and digitized. So they moved them from analog to electronic. That is digitization. Now, when you move from that, there's digitalization. Now, there is where now we start the world of automating the processes, streamlining the processes, comes into the world of ERPs, the world of document management systems. So these documents that you have digitized now need an environment to work in. So we bring in the aspect of document management system, where from a basic layman point of view, the e-citizen. Instead of doing things physically, now we are able to register our companies electronically. Now that is digitalization. Now digital transformation is a strategic change of everything. Where you're imagining, I'm in Nyahururu, I want to buy land in Kisumu, and I can walk in to Adhisasa. Remember, I'm just saying theoretically, we are not yet practical.
The idea,
using the
ideal
examples you already have.
So you can walk in, you'll see the land, the coordinates, the last 10 owners, you'll even see the value of the land, you'll even be able to do a transfer. That is the transformation, where you don't need to have a district board to go and sit there so that you do 1, 2, 3. So that transformation is a world where we envision. If you look at countries that are progressed, we are looking at a case like Estonia, where when you're born, you are 100% sure that by the time you're a certain age, your number is already there. You'll vote electronically, your residency, you'll apply for things electronic, including not having to go to the bank to open an account. It is digitalized. Now, that digital transformation gives you a sense of knowing that, number one, that even your information is well taken care of. Because the risk of digitizing is that when digitize stops there, then you have created a gap where now, remember physical records mean they're in Vili's office, you can't do away with them. Now you've put them electronically, they can spread like bushfire.
Exactly.
So the risk of digitization is also extremely high.
Yes.
They can move from Vili's office to wherever. Mm. Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Eh? But so Don, you're saying digital transformation is strategy. It can be easily be summed as the strategy, not the strategy itself.
It is not it is beyond the strategy. It is the whole house. Now you have there's also a strategic change. Now even you know that when you're walking into this institution, you don't need to carry a paper. You are aware that if we had done digital transformation for our country, that your ID is accessible in these other institutions, so you don't need to carry your ID around. The very fact that now you have to display your driving license when you're walking, or you have or your insurance, that means this country is not digital at all. Because by the mere fact that the police officer should be able to look at your number plate and get to know who is the owner. Does it have insurance? Is it wanted anywhere in Kenya? If it needs to have done NTSA inspection, has it been done? If the previous driver of that car is wanted, it is shown there. The weight, it is shown. So when you're approaching a cop, all that information is available. That is transformation. If you're going to look for Pauline's ID, you type your ID 241010. It shows one. Yeah, it's not too far, I know. Yes, it shows where do you work, your kin. It shows your qualifications. It shows the properties you own, the government documents you have. That transformation makes it easier. Now today we have silos where your fingerprints, because you flew out of Kenya, are with immigration. Because you wanted a good conduct, are with the DCI. They're not communicating. And because you wanted to get your ID, they are with the people for personal registration. They are not communicating at all. And any other place where you go and get this ID document. So when you have digital transformation, it means they are communicating. So you don't need to fill 1 million documents, because the government, remember all this information we give to one institution, GOK. So they already have it. Yeah. The only problem is that they are not communicating.
Then again, just to add on what Don is saying, when you think about the word transformation should bring in a spirit of change, a spirit of difference of how you do your business normally and how you want to do it differently. And in this context, you want to do our business digitally. And at the end of the day, what value are we going to extract out of a digital environment as opposed to what is now present in the current scenario where, as you say, our digital information is still siloed within different departments. We need to really have a radical transformation in the sense that if I'm born today, my records are with the one person, or they can be accessed from one point, as opposed to running to the birth and registry to get my birth certificate. I go to the ID people to get my ID numbers and all that. It would be nice to have your ID number actually generated at the point of birth, so that I don't have a reference number in my birth certificate, then I have a different reference number in my ID. And again, I also get mesmerized because of the passport issue also. When the passport number I have when I was first applying is not the same as the one I have now. I know they have tried to tie the two documents through the file number that is inside the passport, but I'd imagine a transformation that will bring all this information under one digital platform, that whoever wants to track me can be able to get my information in one page.
Now imagine what she's saying. Now imagine a scenario where your kid at Form 4 applies for ID. Yes. At the same point, he applies where he's going to vote. Exactly. You've done away with the budget for IBC, because now in 2025 they're going to register us as voters again. Number two, imagine a scenario where I can walk into eCitizen and change where I'm going to vote from. Why that data is already available. Yes. If we normally trust KRA, we never go to KRA with physical documents. Whatever they ask us, they've already made that change. They have already transformed that. Any communications, let's use our portal, let's work using this. And if you have a problem and you walk it there, you'll not need physical document, because you'll be discussing about figures and data that is already in their system. So digital transformation means that you have to communicate a system so that it is easier. Of course, the government has very many ways it has done, but in silo way. We have NEMIS now that is working extremely well. If that was to be to work to entirety, I would assume that as kids proceed to high school, to campus, and to work, like that number becomes like the unique identifier your entire life. You only get a unique identifier when you get to 18 and you have your ID. Then, through very many different areas, you have different unique identifiers.
Yeah. Apparently.
Actually, that also makes me wonder where are we, by the way? Where are we basically in terms of course they are the leading agencies. For example, like the KRA, there are those who are trying to do it. But as a country, or is it okay to say as a country? Yeah. Where are we in digital transformation? And actually, I also would want to hear maybe what is our role here. What is our role, yes, in records management function, really? What is our role? And who else is supposed to be here with us, making this like a reality, are making this happen?
I like the question that you're posing, where are we as a country? I dare to say that as a country we are still way back. We are decades way back. And we are way back because we left the conversation to IT professionals only, forgetting that digital transformation is not a journey of one person, or it's not a journey of one profession only. It's a journey that needs to bring in many people on board. And it's unfortunate that records managers have been left behind. And a good example that I'd give in this instance is the Huduma number. Huduma number, if you look at it keenly, it kind of fell on the wayside because records managers were not on board. The fact that you move a record from its physical form to its digital form does not negate the records management aspect in its digital environment. It's important for us to be able to get to a stage where we know, yes, we need a system, but this system, what is it going to do for us in terms of managing our records to suit the business processes within government, within our organizations? Yeah.
Okay, to add to what Vili is saying, for digital transformation, if there was a scale out of the 194 countries, we're nowhere.
Really?
It's good to be honest.
Nowhere at all.
Because we have to be honest. Because we do things in silos. So we lose a lot. We've been trying as a country to digitize, but where do we fail?
Don, could you okay, maybe say it in a simpler, silos, we know what is it, but maybe could you explain it in a way that someone can be able to, to
right
get
now,
that which you're saying? Yes, sir.
We have 47 county governments, we have 47 assemblies, we have about 300 parastatals, we have about 52 ministries, because there are 52, we have about 17 commissions, we have about 8 regional government, not regional offices, so we have about 47 county commissioners, those are 47 police head of division, and maybe about 1,450 chiefs. So all of them have information they hold individually. I just want to tell you how big your government is.
Even chiefs.
Chiefs are part of the 1,450.
No, I've ever worked in a chief's office.
Is that?
Really?
Okay. Yeah. So
but you now get his idea.
Yeah.
So
That records are resident in
right now. There is, most probably, an area that has flooded, but the sub-chief knows about it.
Yes.
There are people who will not be able to harvest because their lands got flooded in another different area. Yeah. All that information is silo available, different. Now, who is the consumer of this data and this information? You as a chief, you create a report that it goes to your DCC, goes to your county commissioner, who are the stakeholders who should feed into that. In a sane nation, when that report is raised, it should raise a red alert to maybe the local Red Cross, local disaster, and it goes high, the police are alert, because as long as there's no food, there will be more theft, the police are alert. So when I say silos, I mean one information generated has like 1,000 government institutions that need to get that information at the click of a button and make a decision. Now that is very important because it now makes the government not reactive, it makes them proactive. Now we generate, like now we were told it's going to rain, so we know after rain what comes next, it's drought. We know people are displaced, so it means county governments are stretched because they are seen to be the first level of help for people without food, because agriculture is again devolved. Then again, we have security, because we investigate, now that's national. So this digital transformation working would actually mean that all this information is easily available to be analyzed. Hamuulizani, are we doing this, are we doing... It also improves. I've never seen whether, I don't know if we have a country strategic plan, but if we had, one of the things that would happen in those committees is them discussing, now we had planned this, but now because of rains, this is what we have. Because the data is available. Digital transformation makes it even easier. for you to access all this data for decision-making purposes.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a very wonderful conversation, so engaging. So you can join the conversation at the comments, and also make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, so that we can take this conversation to the next level. Thank you.